Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this webinar. All right, so this webinar is about print merge, and I'm just going to do a little overview here. We're going to do print merge, and we're going to talk about how we set up the Excel spreadsheet, also how we set up CorelDRAW, and we're going to cover a few tools that we use in CorelDRAW to make the print merge go smoothly. And then we're going to talk about something called imposition layout. That's basically a big word for nesting jobs. During this webinar, you guys are going to have some questions. Go ahead and put them into, send me the question. There will be a section at the end of this webinar where we talk about the questions you asked. I'm sure I won't get to all of them. Some of them I'm not going to know the answer to right away, so I might have to do a little research on whatever it is you're asking and get back to you. But we'll do a Q&A and see if I can respond to you guys in real time. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. The first thing we want to talk about is the Excel file itself. So I'm going to jump over here to my Excel spreadsheet. Now this is a perfectly prepared spreadsheet. This is how you would like to see everything formatted to do a print merge. Your customer is probably not going to have this perfectly prepared for you. If you do, if your customer does, that's great. But this is what it should look like. A column for every name change or line change. And print merge is really a way to import this data into CorelDRAW. So let's say you have, for example, 500 name badges to do, or 500 luggage tags, and each luggage tag has a name change, a sponsor, a last name, a first name, some other number indicating some other change to it. So each badge has several line changes. This is going to make that a smooth transition from moving all that data into the CorelDRAW file, so you don't have to by hand reformat all the line changes, the fonts, etc., aligning, copying and pasting, and nesting all these into multiple pages. So it saves a lot of time, but there are a few steps to this. So the one thing you're going to have to determine is, and as we go through this, you'll kind of see how this works, and the one thing that you'll need to determine is, when is it worth it? When should I do all these steps? There isn't really a good hard and fast rule about this, but I would say if you have more than 50 name changes or 50 line changes, that's when it starts becoming a relevant tool. If you have 10 badges and each badge just has one name on it, it would probably take you less time to get that file created with 10 different names and badges than it would be to create this Excel spreadsheet and do the print merge. So at some point it's going to become useful, but in small batches or small numbers, it's not. So that's going to be totally up to you. But yeah, I would say, if you have 50 badges, that's when it's worth it. Something less than 10 or 10 or less, maybe not. Also, just a note, this is going to be recorded, so we can archive it at a later date. And I can't give you an exact date when it's going to be uploaded, but it will be on our YouTube channel at some point. So if you missed something, you want to recover something, I will be sending you an email once that information is up on our YouTube. Once this webinar is recorded, I'll send you a link to the archived YouTube video. So if you missed something, you can come back and watch it. All right, so this is a perfectly set up Excel spreadsheet. And so you notice in column A, here's all the sponsors. Column B, I got first names. Column C, I've got last names. And at the first row, I've got a descriptor. So this is my sponsor, this first name, last name. My coworkers are asking me if I started to hit the record button. I'm just going to respond to them and tell them I did. Sometimes I forget. Okay, so let's take a look at, in case your customer does not send you a perfect file. As long as it's an electronic file, a digital file, you can create your own spreadsheet. So, for example, I'm going to bring you over to just a simple email. So here's an email with a bunch of names in it. So if this is what your customer gives you, then you're going to have to just copy and paste this into your Excel spreadsheet. And this doesn't have to be, by the way, it doesn't have to be Excel spreadsheet. It can be a Google spreadsheet. They operate very similarly. So whatever I show you, what I'm showing you in Excel can be done in a Google spreadsheet. But for today's purposes, we're just going to use Excel. So let's say customer sends you a notepad or a Word file or some other electronic file. You're going to have to copy and paste these into Excel. So let's take these out of our email. I'm just going to drag over all these names here. Hit Control-C for copy. And then we're going to toggle back over to Excel. And let's create a new file. Now if we're just going to paste these in here, if I click on the top of the row, hit Control-V, because I've already copied those. If I Control-V, it's going to ask me, okay, your row isn't quite the same size. Do you want to paste anyway? You can click OK. And then it's going to make a judgment call onto how to separate these. So in some cases, I've seen where it actually separates first name and last name like this pretty well. Sometimes it doesn't get interpreted quite perfectly. You can see here this name here it was supposed to have a space in there, but it didn't find it, didn't see it, didn't recognize it. So it left this spot blank. So you might have to go through, once you copy and paste it into your Excel, go through and take a look and see how things got interpreted. If it looks correct. You can see there's a few names in here where it didn't quite work. So there'll be some fixing to do. And then in that case, you would just go over here, drag over the part that you need to copy, hit Control-C, go over into your second column and hit paste. And once you've got all those fixed, then your Excel file is ready to go. Almost. Then up here, the last thing you want to do after you fix all your names, your sponsors, whatever line changes you have, the one thing you want to do is add a row at the very top. So if you right click on this number 1 here and click Insert, it inserts a row, you're going to want to put a descriptor. So here's first name, here's last name. And this will become evident why we do this as we do the print merge. All right. So let's say it doesn't do this. Let's say it doesn't split the first name and last name. You paste it in there and it puts all the names into one row. There's a way to work with that as well. I'm going to open up a file here, an Excel file, where it shows that. All right. So let's say you paste your names in and it doesn't recognize the space. It doesn't put in the last name into the second row. There's a simple way to combat this as well. So if you click on the top of your column and you go up to Data, and then you go to Text to Columns, and then you're going to have a little dialog box here. You want to keep this on delimited where it finds a comma or space within the text. That's what you want to have selected. Click Next, and then you choose in here what you want it to find. So in this case, we want to find a space, so we just have that checked on, and you can see when I click that, it actually separates it right down here. You can see it happening. Click Next, and we'll just keep it on this general tab. It gives you a little preview, and then you finish, and now you've got first names over here, last names over here. And then, of course, you want to put the descriptor up at the top, so we're going to put last name. All right, and that's pretty much ready to go, as long as this is all the data that you need. The last part is to change this file or save it as a different file type. So one thing about print merge you'll need to know is that Excel doesn't actually use an Excel file. It actually wants to see a different format. So we're going to do a file and a save as, and we're going to browse into this folder here. We'll just call this temp2. Now, keep an eye on where you're saving this. So this is in my C drive, laptop folder, print merge folder. So you're going to want to be able to find this file once you save it. So in here, in the drop-down, we don't want to save it as an Excel workbook, but we want to save it as something called a comma delimited or a CSV file. And I believe there are a few other file types that it will accept, but this is a for sure. So no reason to do a lot of experimenting, just save it as a CSV file or a comma delimited file. And then hit save, again making sure that you know where it's being saved to, because we're going to have to go back and find this file once we start doing the print merge. Click save. Do we want to save these features? Yes, we do. Okay, I'm going to close this file and this file. And this is actually the file that we're going to use. I've already prepared this one with the sponsor names. I'm going to close this one as well. And we'll go back to CorelDRAW here. I'm going to open up our artwork. So once you have the Excel spreadsheet, the CSV file, and this is the one I created. You can see I've labeled it CSV. Now the next part is to take a look at the artwork and have the artwork all set up. And everybody's going to work differently, but this is how I found to be the most efficient way to do print merge, especially if you have a lot of lines of text to change. I've created an artwork over here that's a complete file, and it even has the original template in the artwork, which you don't really need when you go to print, but it's there just for reference. So I've got two copies. I've got this one over here with only that's missing the text that I want to change. The year I'm not worried about. That's going to stay the same for all the badges. So if I take this, if I move this off here, you can see that this is my document size. It's not a full page that exists in your printer. This is the actual size of the badge. In this case, this is a luggage tag, and this luggage tag is 2 3/4 by 4. And I've also got a bleed edge on here. So in this case, this would be a sublimation process. And in sublimation, I like to have a bleed edge. So not only do I've got the space accounted for the badge, but now I've got a bleed edge as well. That's so making this a little slightly larger, about 1/4 of an inch or an extra 1/8 of an inch on all sides. And you can see that's represented by this guideline here. The guideline shows you where the actual edge of the badge is. Beyond that is my bleed edge, and that's an extra 1/8 of an inch all the way around. All right, so let's put that back, and let's start to do the print merge. So with that file I already created, all I have to do is go up to File and go to Print Merge, Create. All right, then you'll get a dialog box like this. We're going to import text from a file that we've already created. Click Next. And we're going to have to go find that file. So remember, it's a good step to remember where that file is located. I'm in that space right here, but we don't see any files. Why don't we see any files? Well, because we need to tell it to be the right format. So right now it's looking for rich text format. I don't have any files in that format, but if we go down to comma separated files or the CSV, it's going to show me what we've created before. And here's the one I want. That one has the sponsors, the first names, the last names, and I click Open. Okay. Then we're back to this dialog box. Click Next because we've chosen the file. And on this field, you don't have to make any changes in here. I just click Next, and you can see here's your sponsor, first name, last name. So it's indicating it's found the descriptors at the top of those columns of the file. Click Next. Here it shows the actual text, the data. Go ahead and click Next again, and then Finish. You don't have to make any changes here. And then you get another dialog box. This is your Print Merge dialog box. And this is what you use to insert your merge fields and to make a new document. So by default, it's going to grab that first column, which is a sponsored column, and click on the Insert Merge field. And it's going to bring in that first line, that first row we created, which is a descriptor line, and that's our sponsor. And now we drag down, hit the menu to the first name, and hit the Insert Merge field. So there's our first name, and do the same for the last name. Insert. All right, so now we've got those, but now we need to format this to look like what we want it to look like on the left artwork. All right, and to do this, we're going to use something called the Attributes tool. Now the Attributes tool is located where your eyedropper is. Eyedropper has been around since I can remember, but the Attributes eyedropper tool, this is something a little new. I believe X5 and beyond had this. If you had X4 and older, or if you have X4 and older, you're going to just have to make sure that you know what this font is, what this text is, by selecting it, it'll tell you, and what the color is, because that's what you're going to change these to over here. These are your merge fields. You can't just copy and paste these over. This is a special text identified by these carets. That's how you know it's merge field. So we just have to steal the attributes from these and put them over here. So to do that, in the newer versions, you select the Attributes eyedropper, click on your text, and you get this little bucket. Bring your bucket over to first name and drop. And now it's going to take the color, the font, and the size of the text and drop that in there. Okay. Now I'm going to switch back to my pick tool, which a shortcut for that is Control Spacebar, or you can go up here and click the pick tool. And I'm going to do the same thing. Click on the Attributes tool for the last name, since that's a little smaller, and hover over here, change that, switch to my pick tool, grab my eyedropper tool, do the sponsor, and drop that. Okay. So now the next thing to do is to align this within this portion here. A couple little shortcuts. So I could open up my Align and Distribute tools, or I can use the shortcuts. It's great to use shortcuts, I think. So just to give you an idea, the Align and Distribute is located right here under Object, Align and Distribute. And you can see that they're grayed out because I haven't selected two things to align it to. But if you were to use shortcuts, if you wanted to align something to the left, you hit the letter L. To the right, R, top T, bottom B. If you want to center something, it's the letter C. Center vertically E, center the middle of the page P, and there's several other shortcuts. So if I have this selected and I want it to be at the same height as this text, I just Shift select this. So now I've got this one and this one selected. This is the last one I selected. If I hit the letter T, this is going to drop down to be on the same height as this. So if I bring a guideline down, you can see they're both right on the same height. I can also hit the letter B and do the same thing. But sometimes you have to be careful. If one has a descender and one doesn't, they'll be a little off. But if you hit the letter T, those two are going to line at the top. I'm going to do the same thing here. And because these have the same baseline, I could do the letter B. So if I hit the Shift key and select this, hit the letter B, now it's going to be on the same plane or line. And I'll do the same thing with my sponsor. Hold the Shift key down, select that text, hit the letter B. Okay, so now these are all lined up according to these. Now we have to align them within the artwork itself. And a quick way to do that is to select all three of these, holding the Shift key down, so you do select all three, or you can actually drag over all three if you want to. Then you hold the Shift key down and select your artwork. All right. So that's the last thing I select. So that's what these are going to align to when I hit the letter C. Okay, so a nice shortcut just to put everything right where you want it. So now that we have this here, we are actually done with this artwork. That's all we needed this for, is just as a reference tool. I'm not going to save this file this way. I might want to come back and have that exist as it was, because we're going to create actually a new document when we're done here. But for now, we're just going to leave this as is, and we're going to start to prepare this to constrain our text. Now, let's say I have a really long last name, and I do. I've inserted a really long last name into my data file, and I know that it's not going to fit where this last name is. So one of the names, I don't know if you noticed, one of the last names was a hyphenated name. It's Washington Romanowski, and that's not going to fit within this badge. It's going to go well beyond the edges, so it's going to get cut off. So if you anticipate there's going to be a lot of long names, the one thing you want to do is to constrain the text. Now, if you have a whole bunch of room in your artwork for the longest names you have, then no worries, you don't have to do this step. But if you feel like there are some names that are going to that need to get squished or constrained, then you're going to want to use a particular tool to do that, and that is the envelope tool. So let's go up to Effects and Envelope. And before I actually use the envelope, I'm going to add some space in here. So these are the carets. This is your actual where the data is going to go into, in between the carets. But I'm going to tell it how far to constrain using some commas. So if I just hit the F8 key, or you can go up to your text tool, over your text tool here, either way. If I hit the F8 key and I hit the comma, that will put me almost to the edge of my artwork, almost to the edge of this guideline here, and that's the edge of the badge. So that's as far as I want that text to go. I can't have a name any longer than that. And why am I using a comma? Well, it has to be a descender. I'm telling it to constrain using a descender. You could be the letter P, a Y, a Q, but it has to be a descender, something that goes below the baseline text. Commas will work just fine. I'm not going to do the last name because I'm going to show you what happens when you don't constrain. So we're going to skip that one on purpose. But let's do the sponsor. So if I hit F8, that's the shortcut key. I'm going to add some commas after the caret, right up to, that's a little too close. Let's go there. Okay. So now with this first name, I go up to Envelope and click Add New. And generally I just keep it on this straight line option here, then hit Apply. All right, then the next step is to take my text tool again, click on the text, and that brings up this dialog box. Then I'm going to get rid of the comma. Click OK. Do the same thing with the sponsor, except I have to envelope it first. So I click Add New, Apply, and you can see it's been enveloped. It gives you this the marching ants box around here. That's how you tell it's been enveloped. Hit the F8 key or your text tool and click in there and delete those commas as well. And click OK. All right, so now we have officially constrained or enveloped the first name and the sponsor. So now we can get rid of this, and now we're ready to merge. So you want to click on Merge to New Document, and now it's pulling all that data and creating the file that we need. Okay, so there's our first name from our Excel, or not our Excel, but our CSV file. The first name, the last name, the sponsor. And you can see in the bottom here, because I had 50 changes, both name, last name, and sponsor, it created 50 pages. So as I go through here, you can see that it has introduced first name, last name, and sponsor. But look what happens when we get to page 5 here. So here's Evangeline Washington Romanowski. She has got a name that's going well beyond the edges of my artwork. The sponsor did just fine because we did constrain this. This is a long sponsor name, but it constrained and it stayed within the boundaries that we told it to do with using the envelope tool. But this one did not. So if you forget, or if you make a mistake and think, well, I can do this without the envelope tool, and you come up with a name that is longer, you can just constrain it. You can just select one of these and do this manually. Hold the Shift key down and just bring it in. And you might want to go through just checking all of your names to make sure that they all fit within the boundaries okay. All right, everything looks okay here, so I think we are all set. And the next step is to, now that we've got all these pages, we don't want to print one badge per page. We want to nest all these together. So in order to do that, if you had to do this manually, you'd have to copy and paste each one of these out of this document maybe and put it into an 8.5 by 11 document size, or whatever the size is paper that's in your printer. So that could take a little while too. So the next step of this is to do this automatically with something called imposition layout. And so when you go to print, and I'm not connected to any of these printers, but I'm just going to I can still have functionality up to the point of printing. So I'm going to select one of these printers. In this case, it's my power driver. And I'm going to go into preferences and do any modifications that I want to do in here first. And let's say I want to keep on photo, graphics. I'm not going to mess with that. Maybe material. I'm going to change to, it's already on Unisub. This is my paper size. So that's the actual size paper in my printer. And I want to keep it on that. It will be portrait. I'm going to mirror. So everything looks okay here. So once you've got all that finished, click OK. And now this next step is to go into your layout. So before you print, go into layout. And down here, you should have an edit option. Click edit. And this brings up your imposition layout. Now, this is the actual size document. This includes our bleed edge right here. If you want to see the artwork, there's usually an option right here with this icon. You can press that and it'll give you your first badge, which is Bob Johnson. And now if we want to nest these, we just use some of these items in the property bar up here. So I'm going to click the row to add another one and click the column to add another column. You want to make sure that you don't go beyond the limits of your page, because this will not, and it won't warn you when you've made a mistake here. So let's say if I click 3, 4 images into a single page, it's going to start constraining the artwork. So that's going to make your badges smaller. So we don't want to do that. So you can only put as many as you feel you can put on a page. I don't want to go all the way to the edge because my printer is not going to print all the way to the edge. It's going to have a bit of a margin. So I'm going to keep that in mind. So this might be this is probably the limit to what I could do. I might be able to do a landscape and get a couple more on, but maybe not. But you'll have to determine what the paper is I have, what size badge do I have, how many of those can I fit on one page. So I've got 4 on here. This is my 8.5 by 11 size paper. I've got 4 badges. But if I want to create some separation in here, because I may want to actually use a paper cutter to cut these out individually before I put them in the heat press. So if I want to add some space, I just click on this little arrow here, and it's going to add space between the columns. And in this case, I just need maybe a 1/4 of an inch, and I put that right up in that area in the property box and hit enter, and it will create a space between the columns. And I'll do the same thing with the rows. So click on the little arrow, add 1/4 of an inch or whatever it is you need, and then you are ready to print. Now from here, you can see down here, it's separated those 50 units into what is now 13 pages. It's not going to do it an even number, but if I go all the way to the end here, you can see that I have 2 left over. So I have 12 full pages plus the 2 left over. But that's a nice way to nest all these, so you don't have to do it yourself. And from here, you're ready to go. So it knows what printer you're going to print to. All you have to do is go up to the icon and hit print. Now I don't have access to the printer, so I'm not going to print this. But essentially, you're done. And then once it's done printing, you can go back and see that you have the file you created with the 50 pages. You may or may not want to keep that. That's up to you. And we still have the original document here, although it looks like we saved it, so we forgot to. I saved it and forgot to keep the one on the left here. Well. Just to keep in mind, if you did want to keep it, don't save it after you're done here. But essentially, you have that file back as well. All right, that's print merge and imposition layout. Now you can see with all those steps, again, you're going to have to figure out, okay, how many steps am I going to go through to make it worth my time? In this case, I had 50 badges and 3 name changes, so that's 150 line changes. In this case, it would be worth it. Also, just doing the imposition layout, that saves some time too. So that's something to look out for. I don't have a lot of experience in Excel. I'm not an Excel expert by any means. So if you have some questions about Excel, I can give you the very basics. I know how to make rows and columns, and I can separate some data through here. But I'm definitely not an Excel expert. But don't let that stop you from asking some questions, okay? So whatever questions you have, I will do the research and find out what that is, and I'll give you an answer whether I have an answer or not. Right now, I'm going to move this over to the Q&A and see if you guys have any questions for me. I'm going to go through this list here and see what I can answer and what I can't answer. Looks like some people have still using Corel 12. Interesting. We've got a range of users, and some of you are using really old legacy versions. Nothing wrong with that, but there will be some functionality differences. So the things I showed you in 17 are relevant for probably the last 5 versions or so, maybe 4 versions. And things are going to look a little different depending on what version you have. But basically, everything I could do here, you could do in the last 4 or 5 versions. If you're back to CorelDRAW version 9 or 8, I can't give you a good answer on how the functionality of that works because it's just been so long since I've used those tools, and I no longer have Corel 9 or 8 or 3 or 2. Here's a question: Will the training be backward compatible to permit merge instructions to work? I might have to take that one offline. I'm not sure. Let's see what else we got here. Does imposition layout work on lasering? Yes. Many people use imposition layout for lasering. Although it's been a while since I've done it, I know it does exist. People use it. Question on the envelope tool. So does the envelope tool make the font smaller? No, it doesn't. The height of the text will be the same. So the height of the text will remain. It's really just the narrowness. It will just condense it from left to right. Is there a way to make the font size smaller instead of squeezing it? Good question. Don't know the answer to that one. I'll try to find that one offline. Nesting, does it work regardless of the printer? Yeah, for the most part, it does. So even if I pick a non-sublimation printer, just a regular old printer, those options should be in there under the layout. So under layout, you would find the edit, and you could do the imposition layout with anything really. It doesn't have to be a sublimation project, obviously. This question is, would you do the same to make table tent numbers? Yeah. I don't know if your question is whether it's a table tent or whether it's numbers, but either way, your artwork would, so in a table tent situation, you'd have your rectangle and you'd have your number in there. You could do the same thing. You would just choose, your Excel file would just be the numbers, and you would save that as a CSV file and then do the print merge with the numbers. But there's a little trick in CorelDRAW where you can actually add numbers and change the format just in CorelDRAW. So you wouldn't even actually have to do a print merge for that. There's a way to do number changes based on the number of pages you have. A tool in just CorelDRAW, so that you could do actually without print merge. Although if you had multiple numbers, then you probably would want to do print merge, like multiple numbers within the same space. But if it's just multiple pages with a single number or a double-digit numbers, whatever, then CorelDRAW could do that. And I will send you the link. I think I have a link for that to show you how to do that. So I'll put that in the email as well. Another question about a laser. Yep, you can do this with a laser. Will I email the researched answers? Absolutely. Does the envelope truncate or center? Well, truncate, I assume you just mean making it shorter. Yes, it will center. I'm going to open that file real quick. One thing you'll have to remember, however you have your text set up, so let's say you have it left justified, it's going to constrain it to the left, or it will constrain it to the right, depending on what you have. Because mine were centered, it constrained it from left and right. All right, good question. Got some good questions in here, a few that I can't even tackle at this point. Okay, looks like I have some work to do. So back to here. I just want to say thank you again. Most of you probably tried to log in last week, and we had some visual problems. This one I think went pretty well. So hopefully we don't have any more issues going forward. So I hope to see you guys at another webinar. If you're looking for us, trying to get a hold of us, our tech support number is 855-782-4657. If you have if you want to call sales to order a printer or order any products, call our 800 number, 800-843-8853. You can also find us on our website. You can order from there. You can email us, sublimation@jdsindustries.com. Find us on Facebook. Find us on the YouTube channels. Again, thanks for attending. We'll see you again, hopefully within short order for the next webinar.